Welcome back, coin enthusiast, in the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting. There are stories that capture not just the attention of seasoned collectors, but also casual enthusiasts who stumble upon coins that look ordinary, but hide within them extraordinary secrets. One such tale belongs to the 1967 Washington quarter dollar coin, a coin that for decades has been the centerpiece of countless discussions, discoveries, and even dramatic auction events where its value has shocked audiences around the world. At first glance, the 1967 quarter may appear to be just another circulating piece of pocket change, blending in with millions of other coins that were minted during that time. But beneath that simple appearance lies a fascinating blend of history, design, and minting quirks that has elevated certain era varieties of this coin into the realm of true numismatic treasures. To understand why this coin has become so prized, we need to step back in time and examine the historical backdrop of its minting. The year 1967 came during a period of immense change for American coinage. Just 2 years earlier, in 1965, the United States Mint made a monumental decision to eliminate silver from circulating quarters, dimes, and half dollars due to rising silver prices and hoarding by the public. This was a time when the government was under pressure to keep coins in circulation, as Americans were holding on to silver coins for their bullion value rather than spending them. The Washington quarter, introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, had been struck in 90% silver for over 3 decades. But beginning in 1965, the composition changed to a clad format, a copper-nickel outer layer bonded to a pure copper core. By 1967, this change was still fresh, and the Mint was experimenting with techniques to ensure smooth production and consistent quality. Yet as history has shown us, perfection in minting is nearly impossible, especially during periods of transition. The 1967 quarters struck at a time when demand was enormous and the Mint was operating at high pressure, produced their fair share of errors. And it is these errors that have transformed what might otherwise be an everyday coin into a hidden jackpot. From double strikes to off-center errors, from die clashes to broad strikes, the varieties of mistakes found on 1967 Washington quarters reflect the intensity of production during this era. Some errors were subtle, almost invisible to the untrained eye, while others were dramatic, making the coin instantly unique and collectible. The design itself deserves attention. John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington, a dignified profile of the nation's first president, had graced the quarter since 1932 and remained the defining feature in 1967. On the obverse, Washington's bust faces left, with the word liberty above and the motto, "I in God we trust," to the left. The date sits below the portrait. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle spreads its wings wide, clutching a bundle of arrows while perched upon olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. The simple yet commanding imagery had become iconic by the late 1960s, and even today is instantly recognizable as an American quarter. But what sets certain 1967 quarters apart are not the design elements themselves, but the unexpected imperfections. Collectors thrive on uniqueness, and in the case of error coins, rarity is king. Imagine finding a 1967 quarter with an off-center strike so bold that only part of Washington's face is visible, or a double die that shows extra thickness on the inscriptions, giving the coin an almost ghostly quality. Some coins even escaped the presses with incomplete planchets, missing clad layers, or misaligned dies, producing truly one-of-a-kind pieces. In a world of numismatics, such errors transform coins from simple money into rare artifacts, proof of the Mint's human and mechanical limitations during a demanding era. Over the years, these error quarters have repeatedly appeared in auctions, often to the surprise of collectors and investors alike. A coin that once slipped into someone's pocket without notice decades ago can today emerge from a forgotten drawer or collection box to fetch eye-popping figures under the auctioneer's gavel. Stories abound of individuals who discovered unusual 1967 quarters in inherited collections or coin rolls and later sold them at major auction houses. Again and again, these coins have proven their worth, sparking bidding wars that drive prices to astonishing heights. It is not unusual to see auction catalogs proudly feature such coins as highlights of their sales, emphasizing their rarity and the historical significance tied to their era varieties. Collectors are drawn to the 1967 era quarters not only because of their scarcity, but also because of the thrill of the hunt. Searching through rolls of coins from banks or inherited jars of change has always held the potential for discovery. The 1967 quarter, minted in massive numbers but only rarely in error, adds a layer of excitement to this pursuit. Even seasoned collectors recall the rush of finding a coin that looks just a bit different, sparking closer inspection and the realization that they've uncovered something extraordinary. That sense of discovery, coupled with the knowledge that auctions repeatedly confirm the high value of these pieces, makes the 1967 Washington quarter one of the most captivating coins in modern American numismatics. But the value of these coins is not based on hype alone. It is supported by rarity, condition, and demand. Error coins from 1967 that are well-preserved, graded highly by professional grading services, and display dramatic errors are particularly sought after. Coins in uncirculated condition, showing sharp details and lustrous surfaces, can command premium prices that far exceed those of their circulated counterparts. When combined with an error that is both rare and visually striking, the price of such a coin can soar into extraordinary territory. The numismatic market has repeatedly proven that collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that combine rarity, history, and a compelling storied AS with many rare coins. The 1967 Washington quarter has also become a symbol of how something seemingly ordinary can hold hidden value. For many people, it serves as a reminder to pay closer attention to the coins that pass through their hands. After all, the difference between a common 1967 quarter worth 25 cents and an error variety worth tens of thousands of dollars often comes down to careful observation and knowledge. It is this combination of mystery and possibility that continues to fuel fascination with these coins. Throughout numerous auctions, the 1967 era quarters have reinforced their reputation as prize collectibles. Time and time again, they appear in catalogs, each time sparking fresh interest among bidders eager to add them to their collections. The drama of the auction floor, where anticipation builds and bids climb higher, only adds to the allure of these coins. It is here that values are tested and confirmed, and it is here that the 1967 Washington quarter has repeatedly proven its place among the greats. So, what is the value of these extraordinary coins today? Depending on the specific error, condition, and demand, the 1967 Washington quarter error coin has been known to sell at auctions for between $52,000 and an astonishing $291,000. These figures are not speculative, but have been demonstrated in real-world sales, where collectors compete passionately for the chance to own a piece of history. Imagine holding a coin that once circulated casually, perhaps used to buy a newspaper or a cup of coffee, now commanding a value that rivals luxury cars or even a home. That is the remarkable journey of the 1967 era quarter, a coin that has transcended its humble beginnings to become a true numismatic treasure. In the end, the 1967 Washington quarter-dollar coin era is more than just currency. It is a testament to history, a product of a transformative era in American coinage, and a symbol of the power of rarity in shaping value. Its repeated appearances in auctions, its dramatic prices realized, and its enduring appeal among collectors all speak to its significance. For those who are lucky enough to discover or own one, it is not just a coin, but a story, a treasure, and a piece of America's past preserved in metal. And that is what makes it so captivating, so valuable, and so unforgettable. Number 2. In the world of rare coins, some treasures remain hidden in plain sight, quietly passing through countless hands before being discovered by someone with a keen eye. The 1982 Washington quarter-dollar era coin is one such piece of history, a coin that carries both the legacy of America's most iconic president and the unexpected allure of a minting mistake that transformed it into a collector's dream. To understand the true significance of this coin, we need to take a step back into the early 1980s, a decade of transition, not only for the country, but also for American coinage. The United States Mint had been undergoing changes, adjusting minting practices and refining designs. By 1982, the quarter featuring George Washington had already been in circulation for 50 years, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. Its design, created by John Flanagan, with Washington's dignified profile on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse, had become one of the most recognizable images in American pocket change. Yet, even such an established coin could not escape the occasional flaws that slip through the minting process, and one of those errors has turned an everyday quarter into a prize worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. What makes a 1982 Washington Quarter-Era coin so fascinating is not only its rarity, but also the context of its time. In 1982, the United States Mint faced a year of significant challenges and experimentation. This was the first year since 1792 that the Mint did not issue any official proof sets, an unusual break in tradition. Collectors at the time were already puzzled by this omission, but it also meant that coins struck that year were limited to circulation issues. Among those coins, a small number were struck with notable errors, including double strikes, off-center strikes, clip planchets, and die cracks. But one particular variety of the Washington Quarter stood out and began making headlines years later when it surfaced in collector markets and auctions. These flaws, once seen as imperfections, became the very qualities that drove collectors to pay astonishing amounts of money. When we look at the design of the 1982 quarter, its charm is timeless. On the obverse, Washington's stern but noble profile faces left, the word liberty arched above his head, and the phrase "In God We Trust" tucked alongside. The date sits proudly beneath his image, anchoring the coin to its specific year. On the reverse, the eagle spreads its wings in strength, perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of defense, while olive branches below represent peace. This balance of imagery reflected not only America's values, but also the dual legacy of Washington as both a warrior and a statesman. But when a minting error disrupts such a classic design, suddenly the coin becomes one of a kind, an accidental masterpiece, carrying both historical symbolism and the intrigue of imperfection. The errors found on the 1982 quarter varied, but the most coveted were striking anomalies, coins with doubling, misaligned dies, or planchet issues that left obvious and striking visual markers. Some coins were discovered with missing details, while others bore overlapping impressions that made Washington's profile appear shadowed or distorted. For collectors, these mistakes weren't flaws to be dismissed. They were badges of rarity. Each coin told its own story. Whispering of the day it rolled off the minting press, carrying a defect that destined it for immortality in the numismatic world. These stories made the 1982 era quarter not just a coin, but a mystery and a conversation piece, each one unique and impossible to replicate. Over the years, as these era coins began to surface, auction houses took notice. Collectors realized that such examples were exceedingly scarce, and competition to secure them grew fierce. Stories circulated of humble discoveries, people pulling 1982 quarters from pocket change or old jars, only to later realize they were holding a fortune in their hands. Auction records began climbing, and the coin's reputation spread across the numismatic community like wildfire. Each new sale added another chapter, and each repeated appearance in auction catalogs reminded the world that this was not just an ordinary quarter, but a piece of minting history. Collectors love nothing more than the thrill of rarity, and the 1982 era quarter delivered that thrill in abundance. It is worth remembering that error coins, particularly from the late 20th century, are often destroyed or never noticed at all, as quality control processes improved over the decades. That's why when an error like the 1982 Washington quarter escapes into circulation, it becomes all the more extraordinary. It survived countless exchanges, hands, and pockets, often unnoticed for years before being plucked from obscurity by a sharp-eyed collector. That survival alone enhances its allure, making it both a historical relic and a symbol of luck for those who discover it. The coin's popularity also speaks to the enduring power of Washington's image. Generations of Americans have grown up seeing his face on both the quarter and a $1 bill, a constant reminder of the nation's first president. For collectors, the combination of Washington's legacy and the uniqueness of a mint error is irresistible. Each coin is like a time capsule from 1982, preserving not just an image, but a rare flaw that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Auction after auction has proven just how desirable these coins have become. Collectors have been willing to pay staggering sums, and the 1982 Washington quarter error has consistently commanded attention whenever it surfaces. Prices realized at auction have soared well beyond initial estimates, with bidding wars breaking out among enthusiasts eager to add such a rarity to their collection. These repeated appearances in auctions only strengthen the coin's reputation, as each sale adds to its mythology and confirms its place in the pantheon of great numismatic discoveries. The appeal of the 1982 era quarter also lies in its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins or ultra-low mintage rarities that most collectors will never encounter, This was a coin made for circulation. That means there's always the tantalizing possibility that one could still be out there, sitting in a forgotten roll of quarters or lying unnoticed in a desk drawer. That hope keeps collectors and enthusiasts searching, reminding us that history isn't always hidden in museums. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize its value. As time goes on, the number of surviving examples only grows smaller, as coins are lost, damaged, or absorbed into permanent collections. This increasing scarcity adds to the urgency among collectors to secure one now, before prices climb even higher. And climb they have. Today, the 1982 Washington quarter error is valued between an astonishing $38,000 and $211,000, depending on its condition, type of error, and overall preservation. That kind of value for a coin that once held just 25 cents of purchasing power is nothing short of remarkable. This transformation from pocket change to prized collectible demonstrates the magic of numismatics. A simple quarter, struck in massive numbers in 1982, becomes a legend because of a mistake, a flaw, an imperfection that turned it into something entirely unique. It shows us that history doesn't always follow a straight path, and that sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones created by accident. The next time you find yourself holding a 1982 quarter, take a closer look. Check for doubling, misalignment, or other unusual details, because you never know, you might be holding a coin that has not only survived 4 decades of circulation, but could also be worth a fortune. And if you're lucky enough to find one, you'll be joining the ranks of collectors who have seen firsthand how a small piece of metal can capture the imagination, spark bidding wars at auctions, and achieve a value far beyond its humble origins. From repeated auction appearances to the excitement of discovery, the 1982 Washington quarter error coin has proven itself to be more than just money. It's history, art, and fortune all rolled into one. And with values ranging from $38,000 to $211,000, it stands as a shining reminder that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest surprises. Number 3. Imagine holding in your hand a small piece of American history, a coin that millions of people saw, spent, and passed from one pocket to another without a second thought. Now imagine that the very same coin, if struck with the right kind of error, could fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction and change the life of the person lucky enough to discover it. This is exactly the story of the 1983 P. Washington quarter dollar error coin, a modern-day rarity that continues to amaze collectors and auction houses across the country. When most people think about coins minted in the 1980s, they imagine common pieces that still circulate today. The Washington quarter was already a familiar coin by 1983, with a design rooted in tradition and symbolism, honoring the first president of the United States, George Washington. But hidden among the countless coins struck that year at the Philadelphia Mint, a small number were produced with striking errors that transformed them from ordinary pocket change into extraordinary treasures. To understand the importance of the 1983 P quarter error, you first need to picture the time in which it was created. The early 1980s in America were years of change, with economic recovery slowly emerging after the turbulence of the 1970s. The Mint was operating at full speed, producing millions of coins daily to keep up with circulation demands. Precision was expected, but in such high-volume production, mistakes were inevitable. And sometimes, those mistakes became the very reason why collectors decades later would pay astonishing amounts to own a flawed yet unique piece of metal. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with the P Mint mark, was responsible for an enormous share of the country's coin output. With massive machinery running non-stop, it was not unusual for planchet issues, striking misalignments, or die deterioration to result in coins with errors. For most years, these errors were minor curiosities. But in 1983, one particular batch of Washington quarters emerged with such striking irregularities that they became legendary in the coin world. Collectors love the Washington quarter series because of its longevity and symbolism. Designed by John Flanagan and first issued in 1932, the obverse features the bust of George Washington, resolute and dignified, while the reverse showcases the heraldic eagle, wings spread, symbolizing American strength and pride. By 1983, this design had been in circulation for more than 50 years, making it one of the most recognizable pieces of U.S. coinage. However, the 1983 P error quarters broke that mold. Their mistakes stood out against the otherwise uniform production, instantly catching the eyes of those who handled them. Some of these errors included dramatic off-center strikes, missing clad layers revealing the copper core, double dies that made Washington's features appear ghostly or doubled, and striking weakness that caused partial or missing design elements. In some cases, coins were struck on defective planchets, giving them unusual textures or incomplete rims. Each variation carried its own level of rarity, and collectors began eagerly hunting for them, knowing that error coins from high-mintage years are often the hardest to find in pristine condition. Auction houses have seen these 1983 P. Washington quarter error coins appear time and again, each time stirring excitement among collectors. Stories abound of individuals discovering them in change jars, inherited coin collections, or even circulation, only to later learn that their odd-looking quarter was worth far more than 25 cents. And the repeated appearances in auctions have proven just how much demand surrounds them. While one coin might sell for a modest sum, depending on the severity of the error and its grade, others, particularly those preserved in uncirculated condition with dramatic flaws, have shocked audiences with record-breaking results. Over the years, this coin has become a symbol of how unpredictable coin collecting can be. Something as ordinary as a Washington quarter can transform into a life-changing discovery because of a simple minting error. And it is precisely this unpredictability that keeps collectors fascinated and motivates them to keep searching through rolls of coins, jars of change, and dusty boxes of forgotten currency. The thrill of the hunt is alive because of coins like the 1983 P quarter.in fact. One of the reasons this coin story is so powerful is because it reflects the ongoing passion within the numismatic community. Auction after auction has featured these rare error coins, with collectors competing fiercely to secure them. Their repeated appearances in sales prove that they are not just one-time novelties, but enduring treasures that maintain strong value. Collectors know that every time a high-grade example shows up, it might be years before another one surfaces, and this scarcity fuels bidding wars that push prices higher. Beyond their monetary value, these coins carry a story. They remind us that mistakes, often viewed negatively, can sometimes create something extraordinary. A misaligned strike, a missing clad layer, or a double die can turn a standard Washington quarter into a museum-worthy piece of history. And while most coins from 1983 will remain simple change, a select few carry the weight of uniqueness and rarity that make them unforgettable. Today, the 1983 P. Washington quarter error has firmly established itself as one of the more desirable modern error coins. Collectors around the world recognize its importance and the excitement it brings to auctions. And while countless Washington quarters are still being spent at gas stations, vending machines, and supermarkets, only a lucky few will ever encounter this remarkable rarity. As the years pass, the value of these coins continues to rise, reflecting their scarcity and the growing demand among collectors. Repeatedly, auction houses have seen these quarters command incredible prices, with competitive bidding driving them to astonishing heights. For many, owning one is not just about holding a coin, but about holding a piece of history, a mistake that survived against the odds, and a treasure that speaks to the heart of numismatics. And so, we arrive at the question that every coin enthusiast wants to know. Just how much is this rare 1983 P. Washington quarter-dollar error coin worth today? After years of auctions, countless bidding wars, and rising collector interest, its value continues to impress. Depending on condition, rarity of the error type, and overall preservation, these coins have been known to sell for anywhere between $39,000 to an astounding $241,000. That's right, from pocket change to $250,000, all because of a minting error that turned ordinary into extraordinary. The next time you hold a Washington quarter in your hand, especially one for 1983 with the Philadelphia P mint mark, take a closer look. What may seem like a common coin might in fact carry hidden secrets, just waiting to reveal their true worth. And as collectors and auction houses have shown us time and again, the value of these rare errors is not only measured in dollars, but in the excitement and wonder they bring to the world of coin collecting.